Hello viewers and welcome to a brand new episode of Trashtalk on Lancer, Operation Winter Scar Edition, where I talk stuff about Mech. In this episode, Kutuzov, from Harrison Armory. Mikhail Kutuzov was a field marshal of the Russian Empire during the Napoleonic Wars, who only became so as Michael Andreas Barclay de Tolly, the previous field marshal, was called to be replaced by the Emperor Alexander I for refusing to get their vastly outnumbered army destroyed by Napoleon's 450,000 men Grande Army during the French invasion of Russia in 1812. Kutuzov understood that Barclay made the right decision, as Napoleon desired a decisive battle for a decisive conclusion, so Barclay instead just ran like hell, set every supply that might be captured on fire, and just let the massive distance Napoleon's army had to march to destroy the army slowly. Something like 20% of his men became casualty from long march under summer and diseases, his horses were freaking dying, and the ghost of Sun Tzu would probably be screaming at his face if he's still around. There's just every sign telling Napoleon that this estimated 5 weeks long invasion will get a lot longer than he expected, and unfortunately, this man was too high off his own hype supply to listen. Also unfortunately for Kutuzov, Napoleon's army may be disintegrating but it's not fast enough. There will be a battle for Moscow, and with the number of men he had, it wasn't enough. Giving up Moscow without a fight will also destroy the integrity of the Russian Empire itself. St. Petersburg was the capital for the empire, by the way, not Moscow, still important though, so he decided to have one tiny battle to satisfy some people. 90,000 men died in one day, bloodiest battle Napoleon ever got, and then he just called Moscow to get evacuated and left. When Napoleon arrived at Moscow, he found that the city was deserted, and also kinda on fire. After putting out the fire that destroyed 2/3 of the city, he sent a letter to Alexander for peace talk. Alexander just ghosted his ass. For Napoleon, things just kept getting worse, his supply line was getting disrupted, there's rumors of his allies abandoning him, this oriental ghost has been screaming at him in a language that didn't resemble French for months, and his massive army has been so worn out by sickness and weathers that he's getting outnumbered for the first time in this campaign, and out there, Kutuzov was waiting with his well-supplied and well-rested army. Then, snow began to drop, and 5 days into winter, Kutuzov wiped out his advance guard, and Napoleon immediately ordered his army to get the hell out. Unfortunately for Napoleon, his swift and fast-paced army was just happened to be encumbered by the massive pile of loot they stole from Moscow, and Kutuzov was able to constantly outmaneuver them, forcing them to go through path they have already traveled over. To understand why this is a very bad thing, you have to understand that army of the old days have to supply themselves on the go by taking food and supply from the environment, or just ransacking local towns. By forcing Napoleon's army to retrace their steps, Kutuzov was forcing them to starve, and for every step Napoleon take to try to retreat, Kutuzov was in the way. Napoleon finally got the decisive battle he wanted, and he's avoiding every single one. And he did avoid every single one, which was how he got out alive, with only roughly 110,000 men, out of 612,000 that entered Russia, including reinforcement. The 5 weeks invasion ended roughly 6 months after its start, and is 1 month short of being a perfect punchline. Kutuzov died 4 months after the end of the invasion from illness, but his impact in trashing Napoleon's army so hard caused the rest of the continent to sense a weakness in French. Napoleon tried, but hubris was giving him punches left and right, until his final defeat at Waterloo, just 3 years later. Named after the general, Kutuzov stands guard at the front to call forth and support its allies to assault enemy positions. As Kutuzov is an alt frame of Napoleon, very funny, it too shares the same license with it, obtaining its weapon and mostly, its many systems. Looking at its stats, Kutuzov is a tiny size half-boy with, basically all the same stats as Napoleon except for its E-defense, which is much better, which will be very helpful as we take a look at its traits. First, expulsion zone, 4 once per round. When Kutuzov activates or otherwise uses a shield system on its turn, it may knock out all hostile of its choices in its sensor range by 3. Second, emergency blink fields. Whenever Kutuzov or any allied in sensor brace, that character clears shredded condition from hostile source, or at least ignore its effect if it can't be cleared, and attacks they braced against can't inflict shredded. So, from its traits, you can probably see that Kutuzov is vastly different from Napoleon by the fact that it's more about keeping allies safe, by keeping things back away and also make sure nobody gets shredded, and less about making itself nearly invincible. Napoleon is selfish, Kutuzov is about seizing the mean of protection and passing it around. And I know some of you, like me, probably just thought of Kutuzov as a smaller Saladin, but they are very different for sure. where Saladin is a massive brick of a mech that can passively protect allies as a walking cover and then uses reaction to deflect incoming attack. Kutuzov is more of an active defender that has to spend actions to put down shield and other things to actually protect anyone. It's also more of a support frame, which I will talk about in a moment. Next up, for its weapon mount, it only has one, a main/auxiliary, just like Napoleon, and for its core system, it has a core passive that, for once per round, when you take stabilize, bolster, or activate or use any shield systems during your turn, you may grant an ally in sensor a benefit based on the overall cost of the action. For free action, they grant soft cover until the end of their next turn. For quick action, they ignore engagement, their movement doesn't provoke reaction, and they may pass through spaces filled with obstacles or people until the end of their next turn, and for full, they may clear a condition that wasn't caused by their own systems, talents, etc. You can choose a benefit from a lower action cost if you desire instead. Basically, Kutuzov is truly living up to its name by using its core passive to let its allies flank enemy position with ease, and by bolstering or activating shield to support your allies, or by just using stabilize because you are still an alt frame of Napoleon with the hottest gun in the galaxy. The action you're spent can be put here to give your allies more bonus. You can support your allies while supporting your allies. Brilliant. The funniest thing was honestly how for using a full action, your ally can clear a condition, and the only full action you can use to trigger this effect is with stabilize, which can clear a condition, which means you can stabilize an ally while stabilizing yourself. This is a powerful effect, just hampered by the fact that Kutuzov has a sensor range of 5, forcing Kutuzov to be constantly on the move to give full coverage to its allies, which gets funnier when one of the bonus you are applying is letting your ally move through things better, which doesn't apply to you. As for its core power, Kutuzov can activate parallel projectors for projected aegis. With a quick action, choose an ally and a hostile within line of sight. Until the end of your next turn, both characters basically got a timeout card against each other, making them unable to attack or force saves against each other via actions. Essentially, if your ally is in trouble, just use this against their most immediate danger and they should be fine, but only against said danger. This would also be very useful against an ultra boss, as the effect is until the end of your next turn and not your ally nor the boss's one, letting you keep an ally safe for a full round and then some. This core power is also efficient, so you can do this every scene too and is encouraged to do so. And that's basically it on Kutuzov, a frontline defender that's here to protect and aid its allies better on bum rushing people. And with that done, I will be putting Trashtalk on Lancer on hiatus once again. I was actually kinda hoping for other first-party Lancer supplement to be out by now so I can continue the series uninterrupted, but that didn't happen, so I'm shelving the series once again. Of course, it won't be the end of more Lancer videos, as something familiar is about to rise over the horizon too. I will also be receiving submission on builds for Ember Phantom, by the way, just post them down there or on PilotNet Discord server. Anyway, that's all for now, and I will see you all next time. Hello there, if you like this video, please subscribe and click that notification bell button. If you want to see the videos early as well as further support my channel, you can join in my Patreon page, or buy me some coffee, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.